Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Crosshair Invitational League. I am Richard, and I am joined by.
Hi guys, this is Hax here. I'm gonna be the second caster. Welcome to the
Yeah,
Crosshair League.
that's going to be a quite, I would say, an exquisite match that we're about to see. We're about to see Globos, which has been on the come up throughout the past couple games, coming in at a 0-4 beginning of the season, now 4-0 undefeated for the second half. And on the flip side, we have Burnsiders, who have looked pretty strong throughout the whole thing. Um, who do you got favored in this matchup, X?
You know, with Portland Burnsiders' addition to Valid, it's gonna be a very strong map for them, as what everyone would kind of think of. But Globos Blancos does have some up and coming players. We'll see who they put in, but we're always gonna be rooting for the underdogs. But good luck to both teams. It's gonna be great maps. We're gonna get some map bans coming up shortly, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about both of these teams, I think of just like the beginning of the season, and I think there weren't necessarily the highest expectations for either, but both of them I think proved the community and the other teams wrong in their own right. Like Portland had a incredible start to the season, and like I said, Globos had a little bit of a rough start, but now they're rebounding to be arguably one of the strongest teams in the league right now. And looking at maps, it looks like we're going conveyance colony, then R&D.
Okay, that's gonna be interesting. So we're gonna have, let's see, one of the new maps is gonna be, I believe, for the last set if we do go into game 3. But seeing R&D come back as a common performer for both teams. Okay, gotcha. Okay, well, R&D being the deal breaker is cool, but conveyance on the other hand is one of the new maps. So we'll see how all these new teams can play against each other with the new map. And then also Colony is going to be a fan favorite. You got both bomb sites, and bomb sites are a bit tricky because it's a lot of team positioning and defense, and then hopefully we could see a lot of duke out battles from here.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see this conveyance since I'm not really sure how often it's been played, but it's definitely something that we have yet to see a ton of. And I think that map is just very interesting. It plays kind of similar to Flak in the sense that there's a lot of like really tight choke points, and its defense is favored up until they break the offensive team like breaks that, and then you see a lot of like scattering and a lot of scrappy fights, and a lot of the time individual plays can really win out those fights and win those points for your team. And so I'm hoping that we can see on either side some really strong individual performances on map 1.
Yeah, because that chokehold and conveyance in the first point, if you die there, you have a long way to go back to your team on defense.
Yeah, of course.
So it's definitely going to be rough. Then we're going to get some main, unit bans coming up. Let's see if they target anyone specific or if they're going to go for like a meta suit that's really strong on a map. So what bans are you kind of hoping for? Who do you want to see play in these maps, Cheese?
For bans, I'm not really too sure. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think taking out some of the stronger characters like Pale or Ash is kind of a no-brainer that like they could go for if they didn't have anyone specifically in mind that they want to target. But I feel like both these teams are, for the most part, pretty well-rounded, and that target banning like super hard isn't going to be the most effective. So I'm kind of interested to see what direction they try to take this.
Yeah,
gotcha. It doesn't seem so cut and dry for me, at least.
Because I know they could get like Lacrum off the Mahiru. There's a lot of good Ash players, so Ash would be a solid pick. We've seen like Z2R bans and turn A bans. So
yeah, I think it's probably just gonna either come down to, like you were saying, like a meta suit that is really good on the map in general that they just want to take out of the equation, or something that they just like are uncomfortable playing at or playing against, like that Z2R that a lot of these teams definitely struggle to
play against. Yeah. And then just kind of going back to all the teams, I feel like if we were to have like, in a sense, a series reset, I feel like all these teams would have a great chance to kind of like steal first place, right?
Oh, for sure.
If they have a good game on their side, or they're waking up feeling good in the morning. Yeah, all these teams are looking amazing now. Everyone's kind of had like their roster fills and like really just been scrimming a lot. So very proud of all the teams here. today, and I can't wait for it to kind of ride out Gun Evo with everyone. Hopefully we can get more people joining in and just supporting love for the game we love, right?
Yeah. And I mean, aside from the game that we may or may not hold affection towards, I think this is a very big game in terms of, I think it's a big game for Portland in terms of defending that like title. And on the flip side, this is a really big game for Globos, because if Globos can now take away like the team that was so dominant at the beginning, it kind of just proves that they're not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I think I would say if they win this matchup, I think they're pretty well favored to be that #1 seed going into playoffs later.
And then we do have a second game coming up after today, this game. So we do insist everyone to kind of take a breather, take a break, but also don't forget to come back, because we'll be having 2 games today.
Yeah, and it looks like on the bans, I think that's Gun Tank and Susanoo, which is interesting. Those are 2 bans that they decided to ban. I'll give them
yes, that. Sus is definitely a must ban at times, just because we've seen that unit kind of infiltrate and stay alive based on the armor over kills. Gun Tank is a very interesting pick. I feel like it's a strong pick for them, because we do have some Gun Tank mains here in the league, and Gun Tank is just annoying to kind of fight against when you have a shield and then the Gun Tank's just kind of burning down 3 of your people with his primary fire. So good pick.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm a little bit, I guess I'm questioning, because like obviously like you were saying, like Gun Tank is a character that, I mean, even people in Portland, Wu Tank does play the Gun Tank, but at the same time it goes to question, like, is that really where you want to put I don't know if it's like a super valuable ban, because yes, it's annoying, and like having that constant damage, even if it is low, is nice for your team. But when you can compare it to other options, like even looking at the Burnsiders ban on Susanoo has like way higher burst impact, I feel like. And it looks like we're ready to go into the match, so let's flip over.
Large conveyance facilities. I hope the chat is hyped to see a new map being played. I love it. And Cool Cheese is my favorite person in the world.
I cannot say what I want to say. We have the White Orb gang, Globos Blancos, representing all the evil Haros, all the daily devotion, all the white balls. We love to see it.
We love to see it.
All right. As we load in, I'm just kind of I'm interested to see like what these rosters are gonna look like, or the compositions more specifically are gonna look like, because
yeah,
I feel like we're gonna see some things that might be a little goofy, but I don't know. I mean, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Burnsiders composition. I mean, both compositions. We have like on the sniper. We have a Barbados kind of trying to break through that front line, but then on defense we have a Hype. We have a Z2M. We have LaCrum on the heavy arms. Right. It's gonna be a lot of like burst fire, napalm damage to hold this choke, along with Deathy Man's Hype bomb, and like even Z2M kind of just doing like him being annoying and holding the point. Getting that rage, and even Zeta flying up, and then to top it off we have a Pale Heal, right? That's a pretty strong team just on paper, but if Eno gets a pick with a sniper or Arbalist gets one slam, like that choke could be destroyed. So it's going to be a good first point, and we're ready to see it.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, overall the double flyer comp on the side of the Burnsiders could actually work pretty well. Like realistically, they only have that Pale Rider to deal with it. I guess they have the Ashramar now, but still, like, I think it is going to be an issue that they have to overcome in order to beat Burnsiders here. Either eliminating value from those flyers or just like directly taking them out, which I think is going to be a challenge in and of itself. But I think we're going into this first fight.
Yeah,
big
first
focus
choke
on that top right, yeah. And I mean, you look at Eno going down so quick. It looks like Burnsider is setting up like a trap play here, and so they're kind of just waiting. They're waiting for the enemies to make a mistake, and Soccer goes in, gets the kill.
you know, Eno dying in the beginning, that's pretty big because Eno is one of their strongest players in my opinion, but looks like he comes back really fast, and now we have 2 people down on Burnsiders and 3 down on Globos.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to like recognize here is that sure, the kills are going back and forth like pretty evenly, all things considered, but like ultimately, whose spawn is closer to this choke point, and it's by a mile the attack side. So even though these kills are even, the fight is really in favor of Globos.
Yeah, so it leaves Lacrum only holding the A point by himself, but Z2M does come back. And looks like we're going to see one last brawl on the point, but it looks like Globos has a really strong foot point. They're kind of just trying to trickle in, get some ultimate damage on the Burnsider side. And yeah, Soccer grabs Deathy Man right off the rip.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting to see the Barb come out here, because I think arguably a lot of people would say that the Barb is one of the weakest suits in the game right now. And like, I mean, obviously the Susanoo is banned and Soccer Susanoo is very solid, but like not seeing Soccer go to the Exia here.
It's very interesting, but just to see Soccer, dude, look at that. Soccer's doing a lot of work on Barbados. Zeta does go down to a team kill. Looks like we're pushing to the second point over here. And looks like Globos is going in pretty strong.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just to be expected, because even outside of their momentum, like in this game, that they, oh my, crazy
look at that
punch. They need so much space.
3, 4, 5. 4 down.
And they use the punch on the side of Burnsiders as well. That's an ult wasted, and they get the revive. That's a 6. Like they have 6 up, and they have point. They have Hades going.
Yep, that's a total team kill. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Burnsiders can even get a touch here. They shouldn't be able to, at least. Looks like Lacrum did manage to get on though. The Dom ult coming in from Globos as well.
Z2M's trying to stall over here. Looks like it won't be enough. Nobody has died yet on Globos, and everyone on Burnsiders is kind of trickling in. I do hope they can come back, but the Barbados ult does come out over here stalling. That's another total team kill.
And I mean, even past that, they have that Hyperion ult to, just go straight into the spawn, grabbing anyone, denying a touch.
So, can we just talk about how Globos really had the, initial advantage, and the fact that they used their G maneuvers, like, in a sense, individually, but, like, in succession, one after another, kind of, like, really sold the deal on this second point. And Burnsiders had no ult charge to counter it, right? So that was just spectacular to see that that session.
Yeah, and I mean, even like the discipline from Globos, like at the beginning, like they're kind of just like brute forcing their way, or they're trying to get some poke in on that first choke. And they know that like they can take some deaths here. It's not the biggest deal. They're confident in their team that like they just need to get through once, and then they push through the second they got through there. They're all the way on point, damn near.
Yeah, and no one was trickling in the back, right?
Yeah, of course.
Picking their nose, so.
And I mean, look at the damage. I mean, Pale Rider, Master Jake, 11k. I mean, we got good damage on the Dom and Ashamar as well. Nothing to be surprised about, per se. And I think the main stat to highlight is those deaths. Like, we got 0 on 3 people, and then on the people who have died, it's 2, 2, and 1. And most of those deaths were before the first choke point. And
yeah, so they just W keyed. I hope we can see Burnsiders kind of reconvene themselves and really lock in here, because everyone does want to see both teams strive. Looks like we have Lacrum back on the Mahiru, and Wu-Tang switching to the heavy arms. This is going to be interesting, but everyone knows that Lacrum's Mahiru is very strong, so hopefully he could help them get the dub here on attack side.
Yeah, we'll see. I was definitely confused why he wasn't running that on the defense, since I feel like Mahiru in general is strong on defense, at least in comparison to attack. But like, look at how far back they're holding. Kind of just they understand that if they take a death, it's so much heavier than if Burnsiders does at this point. And they're making sure to be just passive. They're playing their lives first and foremost.
Yeah, especially, we have the Eno, GM health ball, and the pale heals, along with a lot of health packs here. But looks like they're traded. It's going to be a 5v5. Someone's on the point already, sneaking on. It's going to be Z2M. Looks like Let Me Touch is going to be holding the point, but everyone's going to be trickling in. That was a really good sneak
through as well. I don't know where they came from, but they're in. And I mean, back up. And, I mean, it looks like they're doing a pretty good job at killing them, but also at the same time, they took so much space off of that fight. So sure, like, looks like Globos is doing a good job at clearing out Burnsiders, but Burnsiders should be back really damn quick right off of that because of how much space they have. Lacrum's managing the stagger a little bit. Deathy Man staying alive, waiting for teammates. They should be able to hold this, I think.
Yeah, looks like the choke has resetted to kind of this middle point of the first point. So we'll see who's going to get that first pick. But Eno on the gym really holding it down, kind of grabbing the aggro. But Z2M here trying to make some space. See if who's going to get the first pick. And Lacrum does, but Soccer does get the trade on Lacrum.
And I think with Lacrum going down, the main thing I'm looking right now is Jake's ult charge. I wouldn't be surprised if we let Hades rip now and just try to convert this. Oh, well, 3 down. That was a lot of kills in a very fast amount of time. They're probably going to hold that Hades for... Oh, maybe not.
Oh, we have a Nimbus, but Jake is down. So that would have been perfect if they paired it, but...
Yeah.
You know. Let's see. I think that only leaves 3. Oh.
I mean, coming up on Hades, we're coming up on Mines. We're coming up on pretty much everything except that Dom ult on the side of Globos. And on the flip side, it's really just that Hades and the Mahiru ult, which... well, I mean, I think that might be all they need at this point.
Yeah, those are... I mean, Hades itself is game-changing, right? In the right user.
Yeah, but, and I mean, the amount of space that Lacrum managed to take with that Mahiru ult was actually quite good as well.
And unfortunate, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's just... I mean... Definitely looking from the outside in, Globos definitely had the ult advantage for that fight, but it looks like they burned so many of them. That's 4 ults down from the side of Globos to still lose the point, so this is definitely evened out a bit. Thing is that, look at the timer though. Like, they're already, if they capped it right now, they're still around 30 seconds behind.
They are under, correct. We do see, you know, 2 more ult charges from both teams. I believe we're about to see any ults any second now because this choke is going to be the most intense choke. Once you break through this or either flank them under, that's a free B point. But, you know, Globos is holding in really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, the name of their game here isn't so much to have this, like, super clean or this super textbook defense. They're really just trying to stall as much time as they can. And if that means getting a little sloppy, like on that last point, and maybe burning some ults when they probably didn't want to, it still is keeping that clock ticking. And I mean, just look at the timer right now. They're already a minute ahead at a minimum.
Yeah, this choke is still choking, so
yeah. And I mean, they're pushing Burnsiders all the way back to their spawn. They're forced to regroup here, and I mean, I'm sure they're probably looking to use that heavy arms ult here, but on the flip side, right, you still got the Hades. Mines are back up. Hyperion's coming up soon. We got Punch. There's a lot of things to answer. Only 1 ult on the side of Burnsiders at the moment.
Well, it looks like Lacrum gets that easy pick and 2 picks in here. I believe this is going to be where they aggress, even with less ult charges. But Soccer over here is trying to hold down the fort.
And I mean, they managed to take out Lacrum, and they managed to take out Deathy Man. But I'm not really sure exactly what... I mean, they're not even using ults for this, it looks like. I mean, they're... Oh, and the Hyperion shield does manage to block out the heavy arms ult, but if you look on the side of Globus again, other than the mines, they didn't really invest anything into there, and they kind of just played scrappily. They played for 1v1s, they played for 2v1s, and they just played gunfights, and they just won.
Yeah, 50 seconds left on the clock, right? And we see 3 ult charges. I mean, we can't stop talking about ult charges. It's the game changer of the series, right? So...
Well, and I think, like, off of that, though, which ult from Burnsiders can actively break this choke? And I don't see one at this point. Like, I mean, maybe the Uni plus Hades, but...
Yeah, there it is, but then Arbalest pops the ult, and then we also have the hypo ult coming out.
And I mean, the Hades is going, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough.
I mean, you know, it's 2v4, 2v5 right now. I think that was it. That was what they needed, yeah.
I mean, that's fair, but look at the space difference. I mean, they have a couple on point, but the Pale is still pretty far back. I think Globos is going to have a pretty easy retake onto the flag, and I mean, the numbers are just going in favor of Globos,
Yeah.
given their spawn advantage.
And we are now in overtime. It is anyone's game here.
And is a C9
no.
going through? Oh, not quite.
Wu-Tang coming in with the clutch touch.
The Beyblade coming through the spawn. This could be dangerous, but I'm just waiting.
Soccer's
for the
really
Charlie
stalling
Niner.
at this point.
Yeah, he's
really
doing a
well.
great job.
There you go. Looks like Burnsiders might get this. I don't think Jake could touch in time. Oh! Spoke too soon. Spoke too soon.
Where did Eno come from? Eno from the top rope. And I mean, okay, that's one. That's two in favor
GM Mind's
of
on
Globos.
point.
I mean,
Looks
they're
like,
even now
Wu-Tang's
4-4. And I think that's a lot of numbers on the side of Globos. Yeah.
It went from untakeable to they just took that.
Yeah, and I think what ultimately won them that game is their, I don't know, the composure that Globos showed in that situation, just like in comparison to Burnsiders, is just, I mean, it just won them the match. I mean, you think about the other moments during that game where on the flip side, maybe it got scrappy or things got complicated on the side of Burnsiders, people trickled in, people were just holding W, they weren't thinking, they weren't playing with their team. Whereas Globos was like, okay, we have a game plan. Maybe things won't work out. Maybe we'll miss some shots here and there. That's okay. We trust the plan. We play this together. And that composure was ultimately what allowed them to retake that point and win the game entirely.
And like, I think the MVP was Ito kind of just sneaking in, and not even just sneaking in to touch the point. He snuck in and threw his GM mines and basically got everyone kind of off. Everyone was scared of the bombs because you run into two of those, you're dead, right?
Yeah.
But Master Jake with the MVP over here on Pale Rider. Well deserved on Jake's side. But we're going into game 2, Mountain R&D. This is a map that everyone is familiar with. Or I'm sorry, Colony. I apologize, Colony. Everyone's familiar with Colony. It is a bomb map, 2 sites, and we're gonna see everyone's defense and how they kind of sneak their way around bomb planting or defusing, right? But large conveyance is definitely tricky because as the game is kind of ending its life, we haven't seen too much of it in both casuals and in the CIL. So, great jobs to both teams playing that map. It's definitely interesting to see the new map being played by, one of the higher skilled players of the game. So very excited to now transition to Colony where everyone is comfortable. There's already strats talked about. People have been scrimming on this map. And let's get a good game too.
Yeah, and I think going on to Colony, or I guess for the viewers at home, Globos is going to be attacking again, and I don't know. If I had to pick one, just like from outsiders POV, I just favor Globos in this matchup because I think the reasons that they were strong on conveyance and the reason they were able to take that map was because of their like fundamental understanding of like team fights in general. And when you put it on a map like Colony that has a lot more structure, like you were saying, those team fighting strengths that they already understand just get like extrapolated way further than they would be on a map that is newer, like you were saying, and isn't as familiar. So I don't know. After that performance on conveyance, I'm looking forward to see how Globos handles this attack half on Colony. I'm looking to see something fast. I'm looking to see something like I want to see that 3 minutes at the end, just like last map.
Now, realistically, right? If they don't ban Lacrum's Mahiru, I do want to see his Mahiru on defense. That's what we missed on the first game.
Oh, for sure.
Because we've seen the Mahiru mains, right? Sweet Peanut Butter and Lacrum hold it down with that unit.
But I mean, on the flip side of all of that, though, I mean, I was kind of surprised to not see a Dom Trooper on the side of Burnsiders because, I mean, Lacrum's Dom is very good as well. And so even if they do, if they decide not to bring out the Mahi again, I would love to see that Dom Trooper coming out, something along those lines, because I feel like not bringing that out in that defensive half really kind of, it took part of like what makes the Burnsiders out of the equation, and so that could be the game changer.
And the last time I've seen Valid play, he was on the Ashimar and he was cooking. To see him on a Pale is definitely different. I wonder if he's going to stay on Pale or switch off. But, hopefully we can see some good unit changes for Colony that Burnsiders are more comfortable with. But I still think they did a great job.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I think that Burnsiders did, especially in those last two fights, like when they had to make something happen, they did it. And so if they can do that, even if they are the underdog in the situation, like they definitely, you can't knock them out until the game's over, till the set's over. They can still come around, they can still win this. And so even though I think that Globos is favored on this map, I'm excited to see what Burnsiders answers to them from that last map and what type of compositions we're going to see in this. And I guess speaking of that, what bans are we going to see? Do you have anything that you're expecting to see banned out again?
Definitely maybe a flyer and a melee, right? I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised to see the sus ban, but Barb's actually very good on these maps, right?
Mm,
Just because the slam and the stuns. You could sub that out with Exia, but I feel like Barbados is the stronger melee for the counters of the bombs. And then just to see a flyer like Ashimar or Zeta, because they're going to be really good at taking the points, the waypoints, and even their ultimates, right? Zeta flying up and throwing his ult on a bomb could really win the game. So that's what I'm
absolutely.
expecting, but we'll see what they ban, right? What about you, Cheese? What do you expect to see?
Um, I feel like Burnsiders is probably gonna stick with the ban on the Susanoo. I think that's kind of just like a scary unit that
Hmm.
in the same vein that we are talking about last map, where it's a unit that can stay alive, do a lot of burst damage, and it's not a character you can really ignore. And so I think they'd rather just literally ignore it by not having it in the game. But on the side of Globos is banning the gun tank again. Okay. Um,
I,
that's
I feel like that's targeted towards Wu Tank. You know, we
I
love Wu
mean, it
Tank,
has to be.
right? It's probably because just it's not just the shooting; it's probably the rezzing too. Because we know this game, right? In and out, rezzing is like number two priority to just killing someone, right?
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. That's definitely
Wu
fair enough. And I think there's probably something to be said of. I'm not really sure how much like, at least within the CIL, how much flexing we've seen from Wu Tank, and so maybe it's a targeted ban in the sense that like they know Wu Tank's gun tank is very good, but do they know about the other options? Like maybe they think that Wu Tank is just a really good gun tank, and they're trying to be like, okay, their gun tank's way too good, take it out, and then whatever they're on, it's not going to be as good as the gun tank. So that's the only thing I can really think of.
I mean,
But
to be fair, right? We all have units that we're better with than others.
of course, of course,
And okay, and then it looks like we have the Pale Rider ban coming
yeah.
in from Burnsiders.
And I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense too. Like in a similar vein, can Jake put up those performances that he did last game on that Pale Rider, or without that Pale Rider rather? I
But
think that's
then
probably the gamble they're going for.
the thing about that, right, is now okay. See. Yeah,
No.
I think we're ready for game two. But speaking about it, right? The sus is free out of ban jail. So hopefully we see
Yeah,
soccer on the sus cook and get some amazing clips with Susanoo.
but I think with that Pale Rider ban, um, oh,
This is a destruction mission.
with that Pale Rider ban, I think it kind of opens up Valid to play that either that Ashamar or something else he's been cooking on instead of that Pale, because I mean, let's face it, when you have a Pale on the other team, you're kind of forced into a situation that they have a Pale, you don't. You're at a pretty big disadvantage, and so eliminating not only one of the stronger players from the Globos team, but then also like freeing yourself up in order to run these other characters you're more comfortable with. I can
Yeah,
definitely see the vision, and so I mean, yeah, look at
looks
Valid back on the
valid on the
Ashamar.
Ashamar. We love
Yeah,
to see it, and they have a Zeta, so we're gonna be seeing two flyers on this map. I'm not too sure if soccer's locking in Metis, but it's
yeah,
gonna be
I think
interesting.
they did the same thing last I guess prep phase or whatever. So I I would highly doubt that this is the composition. I mean, Arbalest is on Pale still. Like, I just,
The mission is
I'm not a
about to
believer.
begin.
I think this is a ruse.
Arbalist
But-
now on the Z2R. We do have a GM sniper on both sides. Hopefully they stick. We can see some sniping action over here that everyone loves. The highlight montages and so on.
Yeah, and I mean, I think something interesting to look at is that, I mean, Wu-Tang went from the Pale Rider to the Heavy Arms last game, and those are both like kind of similar units in terms of like how they shoot.
Yes.
But Wu-Tang going to that turn A, very different style of play, very different. Turn A is a goofy character. I don't know, but I'm excited to see what they can bring out of the Wu-Tang, or fuck. They
yeah,
can bring out
yeah.
of the turn A.
I mean,
think
it's the
Wu-Tang
same
can
thing.
cook.
What they, what can Wu-Tang bring out of the tournament? Yeah, we got you. Looks like Arbalist is now on the Ashamar, and Soccer is back on the Susanoo. So, the team composition has definitely changed. You know, they always want to sneak it in, but looks like we're going to go for a full push on not the Waypoint side, but main.
And it does look like Master Jake is on.
Look at Soccer's cooking already. Who let him have his suit back, man?
Oh,
Arbalist too with a big two-piece chicken joy.
I mean, Soccer goes down, but they get him back up too. This is not looking good. And I mean, if you look at that composition on the side of Burnsiders, a lot of it is really built for defense. And I mean, they are on defense. Like, I see the vision. I understand what they're going for. But on the flip side, think about the retake tools that they have in that composition. There's not that much. I mean, maybe of the Zeta. I mean, they just switched over to the Gundam, which can help. But like without that butterfly, without that screaming Nimbus, it's going to be very hard to play retake here, essentially, like without any of those ults up.
And no one has their ult charge except Soccer's at 88, so maybe even if they do get a push in, Soccer will be using that Trans Am for the point. Looks like Eno does go down on the Zeta though, but Master Jake does get a trade. Oh, and they get the res back up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely an interesting choice. Oh, wait.
C9? Okay.
Oh, not quite.
Barely.
But, I mean,
Look at it.
this looks pretty cut and dry for this first point, and let's see if they can continue this momentum onto that second bomb. I mean, 5 minutes on the clock. I think it's going to be really hard for the Burnsiders to deny a 2-0 for this round, but, I mean, it's definitely possible for them to stall for, let's say 3, let's say 2, even a minute longer. The longer they stall, the better off they are, given if it goes to overtime, which, judging from the last game, they definitely can do that.
5 minutes starting off on this second choke. That's a lot of time to work with. That's enough time for Lacreme to pop his Screaming Nimbus and switch to Mahiru. So hopefully we do see that. Other than that, we're going to see both teams trying to enter. It looks like Globos is trying to go for A, securing this top right section. Deathy manages to go down. Soccer going in, finishing Wu-Tang. Wow.
Soccer has no fear here. He's just going straight in as deep as he can. And, I mean, they don't really have an answer to it at the moment.
Yeah,
Screaming Nimbus comes out, so they do have to respect that, but they're just kind of playing their lives. They're making sure they're keeping that waypoint and getting as many kills as Burnsiders feels like they can give them.
Yeah, a little entry. They did resecure the waypoint, but they took over whoever was pushing that. And looks like B might be a free plan over here, as everyone's kind of distracted on this A site.
Yeah, and there's the old Screaming Nimbus and Hyperion coming in from Globos. Punch and New Gundam ult still on the table. As Soccer's already working towards his second ult, I think this is going to be pretty dangerous for the sides of Burnsiders. Like, you have a Gundam ult, which, I mean, Gundam ult's solid, but it's not the most potent ult.
It's a lot of coordination involved with the
Yeah.
Gundam ult, yeah.
And I think that's not something that I think they have the luxury to do right now. And I mean, the Zeta ult goes through, looks like to weak effect. A Butterfly's coming up. That's the only thing I think of that can really bring them their win condition here.
Oh.
25 seconds on the clock. Butterfly does go out.
He is one shot, but no one is shooting him with one bullet.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
Butterfly.
I mean, the defuse is going out, but Soccer is still alive.
Oh.
He can't stop it though.
80% on the first bomb charge over here.
And something interesting to see is we have Lacreme on the Barb. I don't know if we've seen Lacreme on the Barb in CIL, so...
Personally, so I've actually done this a few times on my casuals and competitive games where once you pop that ult, for some reason Barb just seems like the next best unit to pick. He's quick, he gets those ins and out kills, and could save the game. So I don't blame him for going Barbados.
Of course, and I mean ultimately that entire fight that stalled half of the time that Globos had. And so even though that definitely was a lot closer than I think Burnsiders would have liked, that was a really good job at neutralizing that push and getting it back to that waypoint at least. Maybe not all the way back up the spawn, but...
Yeah, it looks like we have an A plan over here now, switching sides, but Burnsiders does come back and does cancel it.
And I mean, looks like they're doing a pretty good job at fighting that waypoint. They get it back from Globos. And I mean... We got Let Me Touch still alive on that A bomb, but I mean,
Soccer is
has
cooking.
2 kills. Yeah, and Soccer's still up there too. Like, as much as that push from the Burnsiders is really good retaking that waypoint, if you're kind of just letting those people on the A site have that space, Globos is going to get it back. It's just a matter of time. And yeah, there's the B bomb site. They were too focused on that waypoint, too focused on A site. B is the obvious place to play in that situation. Completely open. And I mean, we're back in Ultington City. Look at Globos. They're about to have pretty much everything up. And on the flip side, I mean, Barb, Gundam, and Heavy Arms, but those are nowhere near as impactful as the 6 ults on the side of Globos.
They could have really touched the bomb here with Valid's ult going off and kind of securing that, but they didn't realize that, it was towards their side. So we're just going to see a battle of attrition here on this B site as 14 seconds trickles off. Lacrum with the Barbados ult trying to get a pick. Master J getting his second shield up.
Yeah, and
down.
there's everyone's just pressing Q at this point, and this is looking like a pretty unwinnable situation for Burnsiders. But they did do a really good job taking that clock down from 5 minutes to 45 seconds. I'm sure if I was in Globos right now, I think we'd be like, guys, what were we doing? I was alive on A for 10 years and we didn't get the bomb down, or something along those lines. I'm sure Globos is not super happy with how, I guess, hectic that was. But on Burnsiders, I'm sure they're like, okay, we're feeling ourselves after that. We stalled a long time. We can win now. Whereas on the other map, Globos had 3 minutes on the clock for that overtime. If this does go to overtime, they're only sitting at 43 right now.
Yeah, and definitely speaking at it, if they do take this overtime, we've seen miracle plays with only a minute 30, right?
Of course.
Everyone at half ult charges, hopefully we see the coordination. If Wu-Tang does stay, turn A, that butterfly could be very strong. So we'll see what kind of plays we see from Burnsiders. Nobody has given up yet, and, maybe we'll see some roster unit changes, but for now it looks like everyone's kind of sticking to what they felt good with last round.
And I mean, if you look here, 25 and 2, 21,000 damage on Soccer. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I see the vision of why they banned Susanoo on that first map, because Soccer is absolutely tearing them up
as a melee unit, right?
Yeah. Good damage, good kills. I mean, I know he is doing a phenomenal job at not only getting these kills, getting damage, but getting value on top of that, which is something that's a lot harder to do than I think a lot of people give it credit for. And
yeah, just the presence and the space making allows his team to perform to their highest potential.
Exactly.
Oh. Okay, looks like we're going to see Burnsiders going in for this waypoint side. We have a Z2R now, as Lacrum switched to Z2R.
Yeah, and I think their comp is it's similar, but I think it's really interesting. Like, the pivot from that Dom Trooper to the Barb, I think Lacrum kind of realized that having that aggression, just having some form of like whether it's like ratting in the back or just like some poke, makes it so much easier on the rest of his team that doesn't have the greatest retake ability. And they do get a bomb down really early, but
well, it looks like Soccer's gonna see 9. Crowley misses the snipe on the Susanoo. That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, they're getting wiped out. I assume they can still hold the relay here, so they're not looking they're not in a bad position at all. But I mean, even there, I think we could see that they have a much different game plan going into this half than they did in the last half. Last half, they were slower, they're playing more methodical, and that didn't end up working out. And so they're trying to do something way faster. They want to blitz them, kind of give them some of their own medicine. And so I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again, because it's one thing to do that once, like the first time of a fight, or like you're surprising them, right? You're giving them the jump, but continuing to apply that pressure and getting just as much value is way easier said than done.
I feel like for them to really take this bomb plant, they do need to get rid of Soccer, which they did. Master Jake does get Lacrum in return. Looks like it's going to be a 5v5 on the point. B plant is going off. Let's see if they can grab it. And he does.
Yeah, and I mean, they have a lot of people up. I mean, they don't have everyone, but I mean, Lacrum's going to be there fast. 3 dashes from the Z2R. And assuming that they can take this high ground, it's really hard to defuse when the enemies do have that high ground control shooting through the vents. Looks like kills are going in favor of Globos, though.
And they did take the relay, right?
Yeah, that respawn time with that distance is going to be really rough. I mean, 2 minutes on the clock, that's already half of the round so far. And they do get relay back, but I don't know.
See, like on paper, right? Relay makes sense, but Globos really blitzed through without the relay.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. And I mean, it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier. Like, Lobos did a really good job at making really fast, really bold play. And the reason it worked was because it was so bold, because it was so aggressive. Like, no, Burnsiders was not ready for that. But on the flip side, Burnsiders seems like they're trying to emulate the same thing. But that's like Globos' flow in this match. Like, they can't really do it because they're already expecting them to try something like that because it works so well in their half. And I mean, they're trying to go in through the bottom half.
Oh, looks like Overdrive's ult does hit 2. He does get the Hyperion off, but they get traded and they get the res off because nobody's close by, kind of overheating over here without his team. But let's see what they could get next.
I mean, Lacrum's deep in there. They're going to have to deal with him at some points. I mean, the axe goes out. It unfortunately does not connect, and the Dom ult coming out, getting, I mean, 2 kills with that. 3 going down, only a minute on the clock for Burnsiders. This is going to be a situation that they need to think of something fast. And I mean, look at the ult economy, right? You only got wall hacks. Yeah, and when you're comparing that to a Hyperion, you're comparing that to a Zeta, you're comparing that to a new Gundam ult. It is definitely, this is a very uphill battle. 30 seconds on the clock, no waypoints, only wall hacks. But, I mean, if any character can save the situation, it's going to be the GM snipe. So let's see if he can make some magic happen.
17 seconds. Looks like both ults from Globos' side does go off over here. They do get 2 early picks in with 10 seconds left on the clock. Crowley's just trying to do his best to res Wu-Tang. Does go down entirely. And
I think that's probably all she wrote.
No, C9 on A for Lacrum! Sneaky, sneaky Barbados. He's gonna
with no relay. I don't really know. Lacrum's gonna go down really fast, and that's all she wrote. A little delay.
That's a nice try. You notice Valid's spike almost hit him if they didn't have the hype shield. Saw that at the end. That was actually crazy. Yeah. Wow, GG's to both teams.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, the amount of Hyperion. Wait,
Hyperion MVP.
Okay.
Let me touch your cooking.
Yeah, those times living on A for way too long paid off in the end. Gets him that MVP.
I thought Soccer was gonna get the MVP, so I'm actually shocked and very proud of a hype MVP for. You don't see that often at all.
For sure, for sure.
GG's to both teams, everybody. Great performances from both sides. Globos did stand up on top, but I believe that this is what's going to make Portland Burnsiders kind of rethink their strategies and really wake them up, because I know that they're a great team and, they always bounce back. So they fought for their spot really hard, and now that, contenders are really showing up, I know Burnsiders is going to be cooking somehow.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there were definitely moments on the side of Burnsiders where you could see the grit in their gameplay. Like, I mean, sure, it wasn't the cleanest thing, but if they needed to make something happen, they gave it their all, and especially on that first map, like they made things happen that seemingly had no rights to happen, and you can definitely like, I give them a lot of respect for that. I think they played that really well in terms of getting in those scrappy situations and finding a way to win in a seemingly impossible way to win. I mean, even look at that last plant. Like, how is Lacrum there? I mean, sure, it didn't work in the end, but those desperation plays and like trying to make something out of nothing is definitely admirable for sure.
Yeah, and he didn't die instantly. He definitely tried holding it for a good couple seconds, right?
Yeah. And I mean, on the flip side of those, though, like Globos is continuing their domination, and I'm definitely super impressed with how they changed the direction of the roster completely. I know I think it's working really well for them, and through their practice definitely shows through their gameplay. And
Yep.
I'm excited to see their matches moving forward and seeing how they perform in the playoffs, because I think they're looking like a really dominant threat.
And that puts Globos to 5-4, correct? This is an
Correct,
updated.
yeah.
Yeah. And Portland Burnsiders 6-3. So if Globos actually gets another win, they will be pushing into the upper ranks of the 4 seeds. I'm very excited for them. Well deserved.
For sure.
Now, tuning into the second game, I believe we do have, is it Wizards?
Wizards and skill issue?
Skill issue, correct. Okay, and then we're going to be having that game 2. I believe it's going to be casted. Do we get a break? Okay. 10-minute, 15-minute break. Okay, so yeah, I mean, whatever's more comfortable for the players, right? Okay, guys, so really fast, we're going to take a quick, brief 15-minute break. I'd like to thank Big Richard / aka Cool Cheese for casting with us today. He is amazing. And then 15 minutes, we're going to see Skill Issue versus Wizards, which is a very, very exciting game. A lot of great players, and, you know, we get more gun evo time, right? So, Cool Cheese, if you want to say anything else before we send off your remarks, I do believe that this is Richard's last cast. We're going to be subbing in a secret guest star for our next casting, but I will still be here. I'm the unemployed friend on a Tuesday, so I'm still here.
Yeah, I don't got anything to say, bro. Dude, I got balloons to play. I don't got anything to say. I'm busy. I'm on the grind.
He's on the grind. All right, guys. Well, take care. See you guys in 15 minutes. Grab some food, hydrate, and, you know, stay healthy. So.
Yep. Peace out, everyone.